Dude, what's that sound?
I don't know. Sounds like a heart?
No, it sounds more mechanical.
Like a mechanical heart?
No, dude, I think it's coming from your computer.
Dude, what is it?
My God, dude, are you downvoting our video?
How could you hear that? I was being so stealthy. So quiet.
Welcome to the CodeX Cantina. I am Una.
And I am the heartbeat. No, I'm Crypto.
The heartbeat next to mine. This week, we are doing the infamous Telltale Heart for the month of October Spooktacular Reads.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I've used this one in my classroom before. A lot of symbolism. It's short, so if you guys want to read it, you can read it in probably, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah. There's actually Christopher Lee, the Christopher Lee, did an audiobook recording of it that's currently out on YouTube, and that's like a really good way to consume that. Let me start with my initial reactions.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have that many, but I haven't read this since high school, so it's been many years for old man Una. I will say this. From what I recall, I remember the main beats of the story. There's actually not many beats. It's not
I see what you did there.
It's not a complex story, but I will say this. I was too young mentally in high school to understand the unreliable narrator, to understand whether you can trust the narrator or not at that point in time. I think I didn't really get into literature and stuff like that until later on in life, that at this point, trying to shove the concept of an unreliable narrator into, 16, 17-year-old Una, it did not take. It made a lot more sense to me being a lot more, I don't want to say advanced, but more aware of what an unreliable narrator means for a story for when I read it this time.
I think that probably goes, it goes over a lot of people's heads. That's pretty common, because Poe is a, did we say what we're doing? The Telltale Heart?
No, we hit that. You're good.
Okay. Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart? Okay, I was making sure.
Is it October? Is it?
What are you doing? Okay. All right, so moving on. We have one quote. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was the evil eye.
Ooh. Talk about not being able to have a conversation of like, hey man, I don't think I can work for you anymore. Like, like I could just quit, or I could murder you. Which one are we going with?
Yeah, definitely an extreme here, right?
Definitely the unhealthy mind, not open communication with this guy.
So the Telltale Heart is a short story that Edgar Allan Poe wrote about a guy that works for an older man. I'm guessing is kind of like a manservant or something, right?
Yeah.
The story takes place over a course of 8 days. We're to assume it's set in Poe's time period. So you're looking late 19th century, early 20th century. And it's at the home of a rich elderly man. And the caretaker is the narrator, who does not have a name or anything. He's the narrator of the story and tells you what is going on. And basically, he starts having hallucinations, and spoiler, he kills the old man. Yeah, there's some screaming too. So that's kind of it. So what did you think about the story?
This sounds short-sighted, and it probably is, but I've never been able to understand why this is the classic. Yeah, it just never resonated with me. It's never hit me that way. I get what it teaches you. I get how I missed it then. I get it now, but it's just not a home run for me.
Okay, that's fair. I liked this story. I think that one reason it might resonate with kind of like that horror vibe is in a lot of horror movies, there is this named villain, right? But sometimes the best horror movies, you don't know who the villain is. Right. You don't see the villain very often. And I think one of the best examples is the very first summer blockbuster, Jaws, right? Jaws is the villain of the story, but you really don't see him until like an hour or something into the movie. You see the fin and you have the music, and I think this kind of encapsulates the same thing, where the narrator is nameless. You don't know who he is. There's never really a description of him, so it could be anybody. I mean, he could be, a handsome man with a full beard, glasses, and a full thick head of hair. He could be anybody. It could be your neighbor, and I think that is something we could see in all of us, of snapping one day at our boss and doing something, unspeakable. Because there's plenty of times, we've all want to go Jerry Maguire on our boss, right? and I think that resonates. So the point of view of murdering the old man, I think, is that idea that evil resides in all of us. It just takes that right thing to pull it out, to, quote, do something evil, like of this brutal crime of killing the old man. Now, it was pretty much premeditated, so obviously the narrator is probably a psychopath at heart, and this is just the one thing that pushes him to actually commit a crime, a heinous crime. I also think that it can resonate with a lot of people because of the domestic violence of it. That is something of, dads beating wives and children. Probably Poe is writing a little bit of himself into this story of maybe the old man is his dad, and, he wants to take out his vengeance on his father. I think that you could see that maybe in the story. And then I think that the other really important thing in the story, you have this balance of light and dark, and we're always, I think, as human beings, on that light and dark thing. Like, you're judging stuff every day, all day. And for the most of the time, I think as average people, we're always leaning towards the light side, making good, healthy choices. But what would push you over the edge to make you embrace your dark side? And I think that this idea of the evil eye is what does it to him. What do you think the evil eye meant?
I feel like you just brought Star Wars into the Telltale Heart. Like, you literally just said, push you over to the dark side.
Because I think that's the reason I picked that quote, is because that is the driving force of the narrative.
Oh, you're gonna have to throw me a line on this one. My ill-informed assumption is that it has something to do with obsession. This guy has an irrational hatred or fear of the eye. I don't even know what's wrong with the eye. Is it glass? Does he have glaucoma and it's cloudy? There's just something that is irrationally driving this guy nuts about it. He doesn't know how to healthily have a conversation or resolve that problem, and he makes the ultimate decision of taking a life as a result.
In the story, yes, the narrator is never described, but the old man is, and he's described as having a pale blue eye with a film over it. So he probably has glaucoma, or he's blind in that one eye, and it's just the one eye. And the idea of the evil eye, it goes back to ancient times, and it goes back to a lot of Indian lore, like in India, actual India, not Native Americans. And this idea of a person is possessed, and it goes back to the idea of you can see into one's soul through the eyes. The eyes are the window of the soul, so to speak. And that his soul has been corrupted, or it's evil because you can't see through his eye because of the glaucoma. So it was this kind of idea that they didn't know how to medically diagnose when people got glaucoma or had eye problems thousands of years ago, and so they put their religious superstitions into it to try to explain this. And so the evil eye has always been something that is related to like a dark soul.
Okay. So it's almost like this guy has like the hero complex of he thinks he's vanquishing evil to save. Now, he doesn't bring others into the picture, but he views himself as cleansing the evil with this action. Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah, that the power, the old man's power is stored in his evil eye, and that is the obsession of the narrator, is to destroy the evil. Not the old man. He loves the old man. He's trying to vanquish the evil.
Okay.
Very Star Wars-esque.
or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He's destroying the Eye of Sauron, right?
Yeah, he's destroying the One Ring. So let's finish up then. what are you going to give this as a number rating? And we'll talk about it in our wrap up of what you think later.
Okay. I think I'm going to get panned for this, but I got to go with my gut. I'm going to give it a 5.
All right, that's fair. I think that's fair. I really like Poe, and I would probably just give this a solid 6 because there is not a lot of world building, not a lot of character building. There's not a lot of explanation. The guy just goes insane. He wants to kill his boss because he has the evil eye, and he kills him. He chops him up, puts him in the floorboards, and when the police come, he keeps hearing the dead guy's heart beating, and he confesses. So there's not a lot to the story. But I think that the reason it's held in such high regard is because of when it was written, not necessarily the story itself or how it was written. Because it's an older story. So
yeah, and it's interesting too that I feel like as an older gentleman, I get a lot of that stuff now. But it's interesting that what my mind's drawn to is just the unreliable narrator side of things, where he's like, "Hey, let me tell you the story. It's cool. I was very stealth. I was stealthily creeping into this guy's room where I murdered him." Like, that was just really interesting to me from a perspective to think like a guy sitting across from the table. Like, can you imagine being at a bar and just being like, "Oh my God, this guy's insane. I have to get out of here."
Like the first time we met.
All right, cool, guys. Well, thank you for checking out today's video on the Telltale Heart. Maybe that brought some of that October scare to you guys. I don't know. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Were you like me and not necessarily super enthralled, or were you one of the people that's like, this is the classic and everyone should still read that today?
Peace out.